But one quick, I do want to talk about the fast food thing with people and the guns. I That's so lunacy. I mean, I told you yesterday that the two people walked into Chipotle with their heavy machinery. I mean, they're technically assault rifles. You can go in, you can clear a room, and you can assault an entire city with those weapons. So maybe the nomenclature isn't assault rifle, but they are. And when you see somebody come into a place like that, you're going to be afraid that they're going to shoot it up.
Yeah.
And about a year ago, I believe it was, there was a man who drove up to a Chipotle in Texas, mind you, and he shot up the Chipotle, and he was carrying an assault rifle. So now when people around that area, if they start seeing people come in there with guns, maybe they're going to think that the same thing's going to happen. And Chipotle now is they're just asking people not to bring their guns in. The same with Starbucks. But I was reading more into it, and the CEO of Starbucks, he actually had put out a statement. Let me pull up his name. But he said that the gun enthusiasts, they come in and they get their coffee and they get their bagels or what have you, but they don't just sit there with their guns and drink their fucking coffee. They go up to other patrons and they go, "Hey, isn't this cool that I have a gun? You should have a gun. You should know your rights."
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not just them hanging out with their fucking guns. It's they're waving it around in other people's faces. And that's really what gets me so fired up about it. Is yeah, I support you to have any type of gun that you want. Go for it. If you want a fucking flamethrower, I'll support you on it. But don't goddamn dare bring it into a Chipotle, you ignorant fuck. Oh my god.
I don't. For the record, I don't think people should have flamethrowers.
Well, then you're not American.
No, kind of related to this. In like a local Facebook group for my local area, I had seen a bunch of parents posting that there was, I guess, a bus stop where a bunch of kids get off, like elementary school students get off.
Uh-huh.
And across the street from them, one day, this was maybe 2 months ago, there was a guy carrying a gun, like rifle style gun in his hands, pacing back and forth and staring at all of these little kids as they got off the school bus. And one of the parents had, started the post because she was like scared and outraged that she had to like explain to her kid like what was going on or whatever. And then all of these people jumped on. I think probably more people were on the gun advocate side saying like, well, it was a public place. You have no idea if he was a criminal or not. Because she had said that she called the police to have them like look into whether he was okay or whether he was like legal with the gun that he had or like what was going on. And like people were upset at that. And that just seemed crazy to me because, I mean, she wasn't saying like go put him in jail. She was saying, I think we should look into this guy and make sure he's not psycho. And I think if my little kid was getting off of a school bus and somebody was pointing a gun at them, pacing back and forth, I would want to make sure that they were psychologically okay and that they were within the law. And I don't think like looking into that is outrageous at all. And I was just shocked at how many people felt that that was like over the line, that you were infringing on that guy's gun rights just because you assume that it needs to be looked into.
Right, and it's kind of similar with oh, by the way, the CEO of Starbucks who put out that statement, his name is Howard Schultz. But this situation is kind of similar to Trayvon Martin, where the guy is part of the neighborhood watch, and he has a gun, and he's patrolling out there, but he doesn't have the gun for his safety. He has the gun so he can shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even the mother, when she listened to the 911 call that that asshole called in, she heard her son screaming in the background for his life after he had been shot in the stomach. While this guy's calling saying, "Oh, well, I think somebody's following me." You fucking cowards. If you want to go shoot somebody, sign up for the military. But oh, that's too much of a commitment. So I have to go out and get a pistol so that way I can feel that my dick's big enough. Such an awful world. I mean, it's great at the same time, but when you have people who go out there and they just go, well, I got a gun and I'm American. I'm going to take it around everywhere I want. Why? Why are you taking that gun around? Well, because I can. It's my right. Okay, well, just because it's your right doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. When you have people who are afraid to go somewhere because they see you with an assault rifle or with your Sig Sauer on your hip, they might not want to go in there because they're afraid that something could happen. And yeah, maybe we shouldn't be so sensitive to it, but at the same time, don't bring assault rifles into a Starbucks or into a Chipotle or anywhere where there could be kids. That's just asking for trouble.
But yeah, like I think it all just comes down to fear, especially with like hardline gun activists. Like it's the only explanation I can possibly come up with. Like the especially for like those type of conservative people that like feel like as the world is changing that they're losing a grip. They are almost defined by fear and like I've never actually like held a gun, but I assume that it makes you feel pretty powerful. It's you like have the power of a god in your hands to kill someone from a distance, and that has to assuage all kinds of fears. And when you're a person so afraid of the world and other people, that has to be like a safety blanket. And
Absolutely.
when people try and take that away, it isn't just that they're infringing on your rights; they're making you exposed to all those fears as well.
Exactly. It's like taking a binky away from a 3-year-old who's had one their whole life. I mean, they lose their mind at the thought of not being able to have it because all of their anxieties are wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
You know, but no, and I think it was last summer we had went out yard sailing, and there was a guy who had a gun in a like holster on his belt, and it for whatever reason it just struck me that he thinks that there is we live in a very rural small town area. This guy thinks there is some chance that he's going to need to use a gun at a yard sale.
Hmm.
That's how afraid he is, you know. And that I don't know, for some reason that just blew my mind. They just made it so clear to me how afraid he must be because I don't think of myself as a confident person, but it would never cross my mind that I would need to protect myself at a yard sale.
Right, and
That's
I'm honestly all for people carrying around some guns to an extent. No, I don't want people armed to the teeth, ready to, take on the world if it goes to shit. But I don't see the point in, like what you're saying, taking a gun to the yard sale. Who the hell is going to rob this little old lady doing her yard sale? Is someone really going to come up and snatch her metal box? I don't think so. But even if there are, if there's somebody around there who wants to run after the person, they can. Or she can just lose the 775 that she brought
right.
in
Is it really worth
and
somebody's
go on
life?
with her day and sell the rest of her stuff. Um, but you got these people out there, and they think that, well, if they don't use their rights and they don't flex them, that they're going to be taken away. Nobody's wanting to take your guns away. That's the most ignorant thing that I've heard. People don't want to just go, okay, well, you can't have any guns at all, mister. No, it's your right. You have the right to bear arms. So we're not going to take that away from you. Something that's been in place since the dawn of the country is not going to go away. It's just
I,
ignorant to think that it will.
I think that also speaks to the level of anxiety that gun advocates have in that they think that that is a real threat. They really think that Barack Obama is going to come to their door and take their shotgun away. I mean, you have to live in your own reality to think that that could happen. After Newtown, they tried to pass so that limit the number of what's it called? I'm such a not gun person. Clips in a magazine, is that the right?
Yeah, they tried to limit the magazine size. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and they were. I guess right now you can sell up to 30, and they were looking to limit it to 10, and it didn't pass. And that was after a room full of babies got slaughtered.
Right.
And we can't even agree that killing 10 people at once isn't a reasonable limit. So to think that somebody's going to come take your shotgun is just, you're just paranoid and crazy.
Well, I do think like there are like far left people that like argue that is it the Fourth Amendment?
Second Amendment.
Oh God, that's embarrassing. This is gonna sound like a lie, but I realized it the second I said it. Anyway, Christ. There are liberals that will argue that the Second Amendment was talking about militias and not like your own personal blah 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 blah. But those people are never going to get their way. Like they're never going to.
Right.
They're
Because
not.
there's common sense adults like you and I who go, well, you're a little bit too liberal on that. And, well, not liberal, but you're a little bit too wanting to take control away from people. So that's never going to pass.
Yeah, and I would argue that even if that were believed to be the original intention, that doesn't mean that it would be logical to try to make that happen now, because clearly you wouldn't be able to get all of the guns. The people who would have them would be the people you don't want to have them, and that would be a dangerous situation. So even if you believed that, just trying to take away everybody's guns wouldn't probably be a logical way to go about making that happen. We're too far into this to go back at this point.
Yeah, if you did that, you'd have domestic terrorists.
Absolutely. You do now with the Bundy Ranch. You have militiamen. Have you seen the militiamen who are still camped outside of this bigot's house?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pointing their guns at federal agents. And they say, well, we're part of the militia and the government's trying to take us over and, suppress our rights. No, you're defending a guy who just didn't want to pay several $1 million off of taxes that he didn't pay. You're fucking morons for defending him in the first place. So I don't think that they actually know why they're there, but they've been there for so long that they're not going to leave.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with the group that brought the guns into Starbucks and into Chipotle, the president of the chapter actually calls restaurants before his people go there to quote unquote warn them that they're coming. You shouldn't have to call somebody to tell them, hey, I'm coming and I'm bringing my guns because it's my right. No. It's just, that's the wrong way to do things. If it's truly okay, you shouldn't give a fuck what anybody thinks and take it there. But the fact that you have to call and warn somebody that you're bringing a gun, it has to tell you that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just furious at the ignorance that goes on this, and that they don't understand that. Yes, it's your right, but you also have to understand that because you're bringing that into an establishment where families come to eat and come to just spend time with each other sometimes over drinks, well, you're deterring them from coming there. And the group is starting to say that, we're going to take our money elsewhere because if you don't support our American rights, well, you don't support our money, so we're not going to give it to you. Good, get the fuck out. Nobody wants you to shop there then. Nobody wants you to eat there. If I'm a manager of a place and I have to tell my employees, yeah, it's okay, we don't have any burritos anymore, so just try to make this person happy so they don't shoot up the fucking place. That's where it becomes wrong. And this fucking kid who has his hand on the pistol grip during his picture, I would be horribly nervous during that. If I seen this kid smiling with sunglasses on with his hand on the pistol grip, ready to take down the world, I'm leaving the establishment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm never going to eat there when I see a gun there. And it's not because I'm afraid of the gun. It's because I'm afraid of the fucking morons who have the guns. That's the thing about it.
Yeah, like they accidentally shoot themselves so much Like, it's not logical to think, even if they're not trying to shoot the place, they might accidentally do it.
But the thing is, discharges happen, accidental discharges. When I was in the military, we still had people all the time who went through basic training who had a misfire. So these two pieces of shit who walk into Chipotle and they're carrying around these weapons that can carry 30 or 50 bullets, you don't think that they're going to have a misfire once in a while? And then that's going to set the next gun crazy person off to go shoot that person or shoot up the place because they think everybody has a gun?
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody doesn't think that a misfire is going to happen and shit's going to go down, they're just ignorant. And that's just what's going to happen. And you're going to see it over the next couple of months. Well, there was a discharge from this guy's rifle, and so I pulled out my handgun and I shot him in the face. But it turns out that it was an accident. Don't I have egg on my face? God damn it.
And when that happens, you'll see gun activists coming out supporting them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They'll say, well, if everybody else in there had a gun, maybe somebody wouldn't have died. No, if somebody else had a gun in there and a discharge went off and somebody is already pulling out their gun to shoot the other person, more people are going to do it. You don't fight poison with poison. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my rant.